Let's begin with a quiet truth, one most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. Life doesn't owe you a thing, not happiness, not recognition, not even fairness. That might sting, but maybe it should, because what if the very thing that's been holding you back isn't the world, but the belief that the world should give you something, that people should understand you, that effort should be rewarded, that just being good should be enough. The ancient Stoics, men who walked through war, exile, slavery, and loss, knew better. Epictetus, born a slave and crippled in youth, put it sharply. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well. It's not a comforting quote, it's not meant to be, it's a challenge, a call to wake up, to stop waiting, to stop hoping for life to be fair, and start being resilient anyway. And if this struck something deep in you, if a part of you whispered, "Finally, someone said it," then you're exactly where you need to be. This little space we've built is for people like you, people who are ready to live with courage, clarity, and brutal honesty. So if you found this valuable, take a second to like, subscribe, and support this small project. We're not chasing clicks. We're sharing truths that echo across centuries. Let's keep walking the path together, stoic, still, unshaken. Lesson 1. No one owes you understanding. Here's the truth that cuts deeper the more you sit with it. No one owes you understanding. Not your friends, not your parents, not your partner, not the world. That's not to say people shouldn't try to understand you. It just means they don't owe it to you. This is where the brutal Stoic lesson begins to sting, because we all crave to be seen, heard, and felt. But Stoicism teaches us to stop expecting life to hand us what we think we deserve, and that includes emotional validation. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote privately to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does that mean in the context of being misunderstood? It means when someone fails to grasp your heart, your story, or your truth, you don't crumble. You don't make it a reflection of your worth. You don't beg for recognition. Instead, you hold your center. You clarify your values, not your image. We often carry silent expectations that if we explain ourselves just right, people will finally get it. And when they don't, we feel invisible, maybe even betrayed. But expecting others to meet us exactly where we are emotionally is a subtle form of entitlement. Stoicism invites us to let go of that. If this lesson hit something real for you, let us know by liking the video and subscribing. This journey isn't always easy, but you don't have to walk it alone. Lesson 2. Life doesn't owe you closure. Here's something most people learn the hard way. You might never get the apology you deserve, the explanation you waited for, or the closure you thought you needed. And that's not a glitch in the system. That is the system. It's one of those brutal Stoic truths that doesn't feel fair, because it isn't. But remember the title, you're not owed anything, not even peace from the person who disrupted yours. We grow up believing that stories should wrap up neatly, that if someone hurt us, they'll eventually come around, that if a relationship ends, there should be a final conversation, some mutual understanding, maybe even a moment of growth. But life often just moves on. People vanish, words go unsaid, and all you're left with is the silence. But Stoicism doesn't wait around in that silence for a perfect ending. It teaches you to make peace without answers, to stop holding your healing hostage until someone else decides to play nice. Epictetus, who had every reason to expect fairness from the world and got none, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your reaction, that's yours to own, and your healing, That's your responsibility, not theirs. If this hit you right where it needed to, show some love, like the video, subscribe, and stay with us. These are hard truths, but you don't have to face them alone. This is the work, and you're doing it. Lesson 3. The world doesn't owe you recognition. You could be doing everything right, working hard, staying humble, showing up for others, growing in silence, and still feel invisible. Still feel like no one notices, no praise, no applause. Just the quiet grind. And here's the brutal Stoic truth: you're not owed recognition. It's human to want to be seen, to hope someone notices the effort you put in, the battles you fight behind your smile, the discipline it takes to stay on your path. But the moment we start believing we deserve acknowledgement for our effort, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The Stoics would say that recognition is external, therefore it's not in your control. And what's not in your control, you have to let it go. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who could have demanded endless praise, wrote to himself, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." Read that again, because it's powerful. The Stoic path isn't about being cold or dismissive, it's about being free. Free from the need to be noticed, free from performing for approval, free from living your life waiting for someone to clap for you. Instead of chasing recognition, Stoicism teaches us to focus on character. Did you act with integrity? Did you stay true to your principles? Did you do the right thing even when no one was watching? That's the real reward. That's where peace lives. And ironically, when you stop chasing recognition, you become the kind of person people genuinely admire, quietly, often from a distance. But even then, you don't need it. You've already validated yourself. If this lesson hit home, if it gave your heart a little strength today, like the video, subscribe, and keep walking this road with us. Stoicism doesn't promise comfort, but it gives you something better: freedom. Lesson 4. Success doesn't owe you happiness. Here's a tough pill to swallow, especially in a world that constantly sells us the opposite. Success doesn't guarantee happiness. You can hit every milestone, land the job, get the house, marry the person, build the life, and still wake up feeling empty. That's because success is external, and Stoicism teaches us that true peace can only be built from the inside out. It's tempting to believe that once you make it, life will finally feel right. That the anxiety, the self-doubt, the restlessness will magically disappear once you check the next box. But the Stoics knew better. They saw how emperors, generals, and rich men could still be tormented inside. Marcus Aurelius, who literally ruled the Roman Empire, wrote in his journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Think about that. A man with power over millions realized that happiness doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from how you live, from your mindset, your values, your ability to stay grounded when the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. The brutal truth? You're not owed joy just because you worked hard. That's not how this works. Life doesn't come with emotional perks just because you put in the hours. If you chase success without inner alignment, all you'll find at the top is exhaustion, and maybe a bigger, fancier version of your dissatisfaction. Stoicism flips the script. It says, don't wait for happiness to show up after success. Practice it now, in how you handle failure, in how you treat others, in how you carry yourself when no one's watching. Success is nice, but happiness, that's your responsibility. So if you're out there grinding, hoping that happiness is waiting at the finish line, pause, reconnect. Ask yourself what you're really chasing. If this lesson spoke to something real in you, support this small but meaningful project, like subscribe and stay with us, because you're not owed happiness, but you can build it right here, right now. Lesson 5. People don't owe you loyalty. This one hurts, maybe more than the rest. People don't owe you loyalty. Not because they're bad, not because you didn't give your best, but because life isn't a contract where kindness guarantees commitment. That's a hard lesson to learn, especially when you've poured your heart into people who ended up walking away. But as brutal as it sounds, the Stoics would remind us that expecting loyalty as something you're owed is a trap. And remember the title, you're not owed anything, not even someone staying. We often think that if we're loyal, others should be too. That if we stand by someone's side in their darkness, they'll be there in ours. But loyalty isn't always mutual. And Stoicism teaches us not to confuse our virtues with guarantees. Epictetus once said, when someone does you wrong, remember they act according to their own principles, not yours. Read that again, because it's everything. People aren't living by your rules. They're guided by their own fears, values, weaknesses, and priorities. And sometimes those things don't include standing by you, no matter how much you think they should. This doesn't mean you stop being loyal. It just means you stop being attached to how others respond to it. You give because it reflects who you are, not because it ensures something in return. That's real freedom, and that's real strength. When you let go of the idea that loyalty must be returned, you stop keeping score. You stop hurting over what people should have done, and you start living in alignment with your own character, not their choices. So if you've been burned, let down, or left behind, don't let it harden your heart. Let it sharpen your understanding. Loyalty is beautiful, but it's not owed. It's offered freely. If this lesson resonates with a wound you've carried too long, like subscribe and stay close. This path isn't for the faint of heart, but for those who walk it. There's deep, unshakable peace on the other side. Lesson 6. Time doesn't owe you more time. We live like there's always more. More time to say what we mean. More chances to fix things. More moments to chase our dreams or become the person we're meant to be. But here's the Stoic truth that most people run from. You are not owed more time, not a second, not a breath, and that changes everything. The Stoics weren't just philosophers, they were realists. They saw death not as a distant concept, but as something that could knock at the door at any hour. Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." In other words, we panic over small losses, but waste our greatest gift, time, like we have an endless supply. We say tomorrow like it's guaranteed, but it isn't. That fight you've been meaning to apologize for, that dream you keep putting off, that version of you that you keep saying you'll become someday. Stoicism dares to ask, what if there is no someday? What if all you have is today? You see, time doesn't negotiate. It doesn't slow down because you're overwhelmed or speed up because you're excited. It doesn't offer refunds. It moves, and it takes pieces of your life with it. And the harsh reality, you don't get to demand more. If this lesson stirred something in you, if it made you want to stop waiting and start living, like the video, subscribe, and walk this path with us, because the clock is always ticking, and there's no better moment than now. Lesson 7. The universe doesn't owe you an explanation. This might be the hardest truth of all. You're not owed an explanation for why things happened the way they did. Not for the heartbreak, not for the missed opportunity, not for the sudden loss or the betrayal you never saw coming. And if you're still holding your breath, waiting for the universe to make it all make sense, you might be waiting forever. Stoicism doesn't pretend life is neat or fair. It doesn't offer comforting answers. What it offers is clarity. It says, stop demanding reasons for your pain and start choosing how you respond to it. Marcus Aurelius, who buried his children, led in times of war, and ruled during a plague, wrote, "Everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it is endurable, then endure it. If it is not, stop complaining." It sounds harsh at first, almost cold, but there's a strange kind of peace in it, because once you stop asking why me, you free yourself to ask a better question. What now? You may never know why that person walked away, or why your plan unraveled, or why life veered off course when everything seemed perfect. But Stoicism doesn't wait for closure. It moves forward with purpose, not perfect understanding. You're not here to solve the riddle of your life. You're here to live it, to show up with grace in the face of uncertainty, to stay grounded even when the ground beneath you shifts, to walk with your head high even if your heart doesn't have all the answers. That's what it means to live by the Stoic code, to accept the unknown and still rise with dignity. So if you've been carrying questions that don't have answers, let this be your reminder. Peace doesn't come from explanations. It comes from acceptance, from action, from choosing your character in the storm. If this lesson helped lift a little weight from your heart, like the video, subscribe, and join us on this journey. We're not here to figure everything out. We're here to face it all, together, stoic, still, unshaken. Lesson 8. Your goodness doesn't owe you a good life. This is where the heart breaks a little. Being a good person doesn't mean life will be good to you. You can be kind, honest, generous. You can show up with integrity, help others without expecting anything, carry yourself with quiet dignity, and still face pain, still lose, still suffer. And that's the brutal part of this Stoic truth. Your goodness does not entitle you to ease, comfort, or reward. It's a hard truth to accept, especially when we've been taught since childhood that being good earns us something back. But the Stoics, men who lived through war, exile, and deep personal loss, understood that virtue isn't a transaction, it's a choice. You do the right thing because it's right, not because it guarantees a happy ending. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because being virtuous might actually make life harder, not easier. You might have to walk away from opportunities that go against your values. You might lose people who don't understand your integrity. You might suffer quietly while others succeed loudly and unethically. But here's the shift Stoicism offers. Stop expecting your character to buy you a better life. Start seeing it as the reward itself. Your peace, your clarity, your ability to sleep at night knowing you didn't betray yourself. That is the payoff. Not applause, not prosperity, not a life without pain. This isn't meant to make you bitter, it's meant to make you free. Free from the weight of expectations. Free from the quiet resentment that builds when life doesn't repay your kindness. Stoicism asks, can you still be good even when life isn't? That's the real test, and that's where your power lives. If you've ever felt like life was unfair despite your best efforts, you're not alone. And if this lesson gave you some clarity or just helped ease that invisible frustration, subscribe and stay close. We're not here to be rewarded for being good. We're here to be good no matter what. So here we are, 8 brutal, stoic lessons. Not soft, not sugar-coated, just honest, raw truths about the way life actually works, not how we wish it would. And if you made it this far, it probably hit you somewhere real. Maybe it felt like someone finally said what you've been quietly feeling for years, but couldn't quite put into words. That's not an accident, that's alignment. But before you click away and scroll into another part of the internet, I want to ask you something. Not as a creator, but as a fellow human, walking this same crooked path. Which one of these lessons hit you the hardest? Was it the one about not getting closure? Or maybe the one that reminded you time isn't guaranteed? Or did it shake you a bit to realize that your goodness doesn't buy you a soft life? Drop it in the comments, not because we're fishing for engagement, but because your voice, your insight, your story, it might be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. There's a strange kind of magic that happens when we speak the hard truth out loud. You never know who you're helping when you do. And hey, if you're still reading this, you're already different. Most people turn away when things get uncomfortable, but you stayed. That says something. It means you're ready to stop pretending life owes you something and start building strength from the inside out. Now here's the tricky part. You probably weren't expecting this video to feel this personal or this deep. You might have thought you'd hear a few quotes, nod your head, and move on. But something happened, didn't it? That little pause. That tiny voice in the back of your mind whispering, this is what I needed. So do one thing right now, subscribe. Not for us, for you. Because this isn't just content, it's a compass. And we're just getting started. Like the video. If it stirred something, share it if someone in your life needs a little wake-up call. And comment below, not to be heard, but to help. Let's grow this quiet little space into something real, not flashy, not loud, just honest, just human. We're not owed anything, but we're building something together.